Here.
Trustee Jaycox?
Here.
Trustee George?
Here.
Trustee Rogers?
Here.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Here.
Trustee Rivers?
Here.
Mayor Perkins?
Here. Now we have the invocation, and someone will come up and give the invocation. We appreciate very much Councilman Mike to get in and do the invocation. Thank you.
May we please stand? Our Father in heaven, we come at this time to thank you. We thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you have blessed us with. You blessed this town and you blessed each family that's represented. We ask, Lord, as we go forth that we have receiving hearts. We ask, Lord, that we do the things that's pleasing in your sight. We give you honor and glory tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item we have on the agenda, item number 5, is oath, reports, proclamations, announcements, and appointments.
I'd like to make the announcement that Maywood says goodbye. Mr. Leon Connors, father of deceased Mayor Ralph W. Connors, former planning and zoning commissioner, pillar of the Maywood community. Memorial service will be, the arrangements will be Second Baptist Church, 431 South 13th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois, Saturday, October the 18th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Family reflection, 11 a.m. to 12 memorial service. Repast to following services, lower level. We also have Mr. John, former employee of the village of Maywood.
John Gray.
John Gray. Do we have any?
We have not received the arrangements from the manager's office.
Okay, we have not received the arrangement from Mr. Myers. So as soon as we get it, we will give that information to the trustees.
Yes.
And Loretta Robinson cousin passed while she was away. And Ms. Robinson, would you give us that information?
She was cremated and I stayed so long because we had a memorial service there.
What was her name?
Adele Stewart.
Adele Stewart. Okay, and I'd also like to ask for prayer for a friend of mine. His name is Joseph Stephens. His wife is Rochelle. She's been ill for years, but she had to have surgery, and they performed the surgery and everything went well, but this morning she went into a coma. So we're soliciting prayers for her and the family. For those of you that know Joseph Stephens, he lives on 15th and the 1400 block. He worked at the post office for years, but he's been here in the village of Maywood for years. But we'd like to solicit prayers. And Mr. Brown, I know you just came in, but would you mind pulling your coat off and coming to the front, please? Tonight we're going to honor Bronze Paint, one of the oldest businesses in the village of Maywood. So would all the trustees come down, please, and Trustee Ely is going to read the proclamation.
All the way up. All the way up. Right, right, okay.
a proclamation for Braun Paint Company serving the community since 1922. Whereas the Braun Paint Company is a major part of the Village of Maywood, Fifth Avenue Business District, and whereas Braun Paint Company opened its door for business at 807 South Fifth Avenue in 1922, and whereas the Braun Paint Company still remains in its original Maywood location and has been an upstanding business and cultural institution, and whereas Braun exhibits unusual consistency, a spirit of excellence, and a deep commitment to serving its customers and the surrounding neighborhood, and whereas the Braun Paint Company has expanded and taken its business to a higher level of product distribution as the Braun Company, and whereas the Braun Paint Company is a source of inspiration that all of Maywood businesses should emulate. Therefore, Mayor Edwina Perkins and the Village of Maywood Board of Trustees do hereby proclaim and celebrate on this 7th day of October 2014 the Braun Paint Company for being a valuable asset and model for good business in the Village of Maywood for over 90 years. Congratulations.
And they're in my email, friends. You do a good job. She sends me good stuff.
Congratulations, congratulations. I'll be in for my discount.
Come help yourself. Please come help yourself. You have to.
I got more. I got taxi others coming. Yes.
Don't bend over. Okay. You got it? Well, good
Okay, Mayor, we're still under oaths, reports, proclamation, announcement, and appointments. Report, and with that, I have a letter to read. This letter from the 2000 block of 8th Avenue. This letter was requested to be read at the board meeting in the mayor's office. And this is a letter congratulating the police department along with Chief Val Talley, and I'm going to read it. Dear Mayor Perkins, we are writing this letter to commend Police Chief Val Talley on behalf of the 2000 block of 8th Avenue because he was instrumental in solving a dangerous situation that could have escalated out of control. During June 2012, some renters moved into a property on the block on 8th Avenue. They visibly started selling drugs from the home. Consequently, there was a great deal of drug trafficking on the block. This went on daily, well into the night and most mornings. We repeatedly called the Maywood Police Department, to no avail. This situation continued for a year and a half. In December 2013, we contacted Trustee Tony Doris, who then arranged a meeting between us and our new police chief, Val Talley. There was no immediate results, but Chief Talley asked us to give him time to work on the problem. Below is a chronological listing of events that took place because of the hard work and dedication of Police Chief Val Talley. Chief Talley, along with Officer Allen, encouraged our attendance at the monthly zone meetings. They were very informative. He also, along with Officer Allen and Officer Fairley, made periodic visits to determine a strategy to address the drug problem on our block. In time, more patrolmen were visible on our block. This didn't happen until Chief Talley became our chief, although we reported this problem numerous occasions back in 2012. In June 2014, Broadview Police, in conjunction with the Maywood Police Department, raided the property on South 8th Avenue because of the residents were robbed. Because of some of the residents was robbed in Broadview. During the raid, the police reportedly recovered drugs and weapons from the property. Moving forth, as a result, the residents were forced to move from a dangerous situation, and this situation was resolved. The residents of 2000 block of 8th Avenue want to just take this opportunity not only to commend the chief, but also thank and applaud him for taking the time to get involved, making our block safe again. We hope that you will continue to support our chief and our officers during this time. Finally, we also want to thank the chief and officials for recognizing for a job well done. Sincerely, residents of the 2000 block of 8th Avenue. This carbon copy of Chief Talley, Congressman Danny Davis, State Representative Chris Welch, Village Maywood Trustees, Village Manager, and the residents of the block. Let's give Chief Talley. Thank you, Chief. Job well done. Good work.
Thanks, sir.
Do we have any other announcements from trustees? Move along. Item number A on the mayor's report. We have the appointment of of Mr. Frank Q. Anti-Barfy to the Economic Development Commission.
Move for the appointment of Mr. Barfi.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that appointment of Frank Anthony to the Economic Development Commission. Are there any questions?
Mayor,
Trustees?
since I've never seen this name before, have we could get any information on this person? Have we had any interviews, anything, in background check, anything on this person at all?
Yes, you have in your,
How have not received
report on the application.
on this application?
Yeah, on this
This
application.
was dated February 14th, but just now getting here?
Yes,
I've
because
never heard it before.
there was someone else that was on there, and he had to leave, so then that's why he was, Mr. Anthony was appointed. He was on the Economic Development Committee before.
What about Carl Malone, name I put a month ago?
Okay, as I told you before, that he came in with some other names, and some of the people that you had asked for did get appointed on there.
I'm not satisfied with the Economic Development Commission on the personnel, no uniform about it.
Mayor, Trustee Evelyn Clark.
Could you ask the board to please speak in the mic so everyone can hear him?
Are there any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Ely Cross,
Aye.
trustee Jacob,
Aye.
trustee Doris,
Aye.
trustee Rogers,
Aye.
trustee Lightfoot,
No.
trustee Rivers, Mayor Perkins,
Aye.
motion carries.
Item B, we have manager report. We have a presentation by police.
I'm sorry, Madam President, may I pose a question?
Yes.
With trustee Lightfoot's concern, and I also have a concern that we had moved Theodore Matthews towards the Economic Development Commission. And as I spoke with him, he said he hasn't heard anything. He hasn't gone to the clerk's office, he hasn't been notified by the clerk's office for any meetings or anything. So
Okay.
I would like for,
I will check on that tomorrow.
okay, thank you very much.
That was Theodore Matthews.
Yes.
Also check on Carl Malone.
He got his letter?
Yes, he did.
He did get his letter.
His letter was mailed to the address that he gave on his application, maybe the Monday after he was appointed.
As me speaking with him, he has not received any notification from the village concerning, gaining his credentials, nor,
Okay, now I will check on it tomorrow.
Okay, fine, that's fine.
See to it if not, if he did not receive it,
That's fine.
that, he gets the letter according to that address and he turns in.
Okay, thank you much.
Trustee Lightfoot, you also said Carl Malone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We have the manager's report. We have a presentation by Police Val Talley, giving a two-day report.
Good evening, Your Honor, esteemed members of the Village Trustee Board, citizens. I'm going to give a 200-day report, but before I do that, as I'm getting my technical applications set up, I'm going to kind of cover a couple of issues that I was going to cover within the report. All right, first of all, what I want to talk about, and we'll see if we can't get the application process, is the first 100 days that I came before you, I talked about what the goal of the police department would be. The goal was that we were going to become a professionalized agency. We're going to do that through becoming accredited on two fronts. The first front was going to be a state accreditation through the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, and the second front was going to be a national accreditation from CALEA, the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. On October 12th, I will be moving into my 300th day of service for you, And this is a little behind, but it's because we were on summer break. But for the 200 days, I want to talk about what the police department will do. We are going to be a high talented organization. In my conversations with the Board of Fire Police Commissioners, we discuss new testing applications, improved applications for the physical agility test, and the reasons behind those things is that we want to make sure that our officers are fit for service of duty so that they can protect the citizens of the village. We also are going to look at, from the police department perspective, 3 main characteristics. The first being discipline. We need officers who will be able to follow instructions and report to their supervisors in an orderly fashion. And police agencies call that a chain of command. We also are looking at for people who are trainable. Those would be people who can get through all the series and batteries of training, not only from the academy, but through fellow officers through the field training officer program. We're also going to augment the training applications as we start moving people into the investigative assignments and other specialized assignments. And then the last thing is judgment. I don't want anybody to be alarmed, but we as a police agency had to take some personnel measures on someone that had a poor decision. And it covered over several years. Now, most of the things that we've accomplished over the second 100 days, or the second 100 days that I was in office, where we did what was just reported to you. We worked with block clubs, and we dealt with block club development. We did training partnerships, grant applications. We also did flood management, audits of very critical services within the agency, financial management. And so then I'm going to, after I cover those areas, I'm going to talk to you about what it's going to take for us to move forward and where we're at in terms of dealing with our union-based contracts and then our new program implementations. You'll find in your packet information about the strategic model in terms of block club and law enforcement. Officer Persia Allen was returned to the position of Community Resource Officer. He had been taken out of that because we had limited staffing. For fiscal year 16, I will be asking the board to authorize additional staffing because that is how we'll be able to provide additional services for the village. Contrary to popular belief, Officer Allen was put in that because we have a philosophy of community-based policing. Community-based policing, a lot of people think, is not tough on crime, but that's contrary to popular belief. It requires that we devote our services and our resources toward improving and understanding about crime within our community. That was highlighted in the letter that Mr. Myers made, by the community. It's partnerships with other law enforcement agencies. It's working with and listening to what members of the community are asking for your assistance for, and then actually developing strategies to be directed and focused on those areas. We attended block club meetings. We attended block club parties. We held MAP meetings where we identified certain issues. We implemented new ways for the citizens at the MAP meetings to address certain type of issues where they can have more ownership and participation within that type of environment. Criminogenics are places that cause us the greatest amount of problems. We have 400 vacant properties in the village. And we've been able to work with some of our real estate brokers and realtors in town, and we are looking at alternative solutions so that we can start taking these vacant properties and making sure that we are keeping them from looking poorly and making sure that we can go and address those criminal elements that use those properties. In some areas, we've even found where buildings have been destroyed and there are open refuge where people can buy, sell drugs, and also engage in the acts of prostitution. Right there. The first one. Okay, now 200 days. Go into 6. Like that. There you go. All right, we're up and running now. But we also have vacant stores, including properties that we own, that we have to manage. And those are all refuge and havens for criminal activities. So we need to make sure that we have very diligent efforts and strategies to take care of these properties. One of these properties exists on our business corridor, 5th Avenue. And so what we've done to kind of manage it is we have made sure that our part-time officers, including myself, go out and we walk those corridors. And we've also did that, with some of our trustees. Next one. Block Club strategic model continuing. We're working with the block clubs to help us determine which of our tactics are working best and under what set of circumstances. Sometimes we have a plan, and you have to make sure that that plan is functioning correctly. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be some element of change, or there's going to be some kind of problem, and you have to look at it, reassess, and you have to tweak it so that you can make it more efficient or more effective. This allows us an opportunity to apply whatever strategy is going to work the best. Next. We also engaged in training partnerships. We had 2 of them. For the western suburban area, we hosted a sex offender registry. The training was offered by the Illinois State Police. And for those of you who don't know, under the Illinois Compiled Statute 730, 152. The state police is mandated to keep information about offenders. We have about 17 offenders, sexual predators, that live within our community, which is a lot lower than our neighbors. But we have to remember that our neighbors, because we're so close together, people travel, between town to town. So we have to make sure that we develop strategies. Officer Robinson is one of our part-time officers. He's our dedicated staff that actually goes and makes sure that, all of our sex offenders are registered, and that they aren't near schools, and they aren't near any area where children would frequent. So that's why we have dedicated staff. We also conducted an elderly service officer certification. Unfortunately, the 200 building wasn't completed. So what we did is we entered into a partnership with, one of our sister agencies, and we were able to conduct the training at the library. I found it very strange and peculiar that me, as a retired officer, was the only certified officer to conduct crimes against the elderly, particularly since 70% of our population base are elderly citizens. And the advantage of having a certified officer is that there are certain strategies that we can set in place so that if you have people that are helping or assisting these elderly citizens, those who can't manage their checkbooks, those who need help with their bank accounts, if they steal from them, then we can take enforcement action very quickly. So we scheduled 2 officers. 1 officer was unavailable to attend due to other matters, but we do now have 1 certified elderly service officer, and we're looking to do an advanced course later on or sometime next year. Next. We also have training partnerships. A week ago, we had the fire chief come up, and he was talking about having a ordinance and a memo of understanding with other fire agencies so that during a time of disaster that they could actually go out and work together cooperatively, and it's a way for the fire department to be paid back if their services are utilized. We also engage in a similar activity. It's called NIPUS. It's the Northern Illinois Police Alarm System. 15 police agencies were created in 1983 to ensure effective police and mutual aid in times of, like what the fire chief said, natural disasters. Those are the type of things that we have to worry about with this being on the Plains River. So we want to do that. Also, with my background in Homeland Security, I'm always concerned about us being 11 miles west of Chicago and the threats that exist up in Chicago. And just so that you know, these threats are real. Maywood, over a period of the last 15, 20 years, had a threat at the library and a threat at the water source. So those are areas that we actually have to look at. Other training partnerships that we have is we started mentoring. Okay. We introduced temporary duty assignments. The whole idea behind temporary duty assignments is to review those individuals within the department who have cultivated unique skills and are willing to train other people. Share those skills. He hasn't actually signed his paper, but I'm getting ready to lose an officer with 30 years of service, who is probably one of the best criminal investigators we have. In succession planning, I anticipate that he will put in his retirement paper in December. We're going to lose 30 years of investigatory experience when he goes. And we have to start grooming and mentoring young officers in these roles so that they can take older officers' place. The benefit of mentoring is that mentors can enjoy a personal sense of reward for spotlighting and developing talent. Everybody has unique perspectives on what they see, what they do, and they have unique interests, and we need to start looking at those. It enhances the knowledge of the department. It helps us with our policies, our procedures, our practices, and it paves the way for others so that we can have a very good legacy. I remember when I came and talked about through the 100-day plan, looking at doing a game coordinator. The trustee Rivers had asked, have we ever considered, somebody who's retired out? And I said, we need somebody who has a more broader base of experience because we need that networking. And that's what this mentoring does, because you get those things, you get experience not only inside the department, you get experience externally so that the officers can develop a wealth of knowledge on a lot of platforms. The reputation as a valuable, they have a reputation as a valuable member of the police department, and they're getting something back by giving something. And those are the type of things that we want for our officers to explore. The protege is also receiving something. They're receiving an increased likelihood for success from the mentors, because what they do is they start to gain competencies in specific areas. Some officers are weak in writing, where other officers have a lot of strength. And that way, we can be more effective, because when we bring our cases to the courts and the state's attorney start looking over reports, those officers, if they can mentor the officers with those weaker writing skills, we can start to see more cases go forward and more success rates. You know, also it helps these younger officers avoid pitfalls, and that's the whole purpose of getting into the mentoring program. Okay, next. We'll go one more. The other thing is that in the first 6 months that I served as your police chief, the Maywood Police Department was able to secure $917,600 in grant monies. We received $195,000 in Homeland Security grants. We won't actually receive those funds until the federal fiscal period, which is in October, so they'll probably cut the check sometime in November, and it will allow us to do some additional youth programming, as well as start looking at some equipment issues that are needed for the department. What we talked about over the last couple of weeks, the Illinois Department of Natural Resource grant was for $189,600. We had a grant where we were able to purchase, where we planned to purchase another, but we were able to purchase a vehicle, and that's the DOJ JAG grant. And then we were able to breathe life into a grant we almost lost, and that was the COPS grant. And remember, when I first came, I told you that there was a failure to monitor the grant appropriately. Well, we got it back in play, and instead of 2 bodies, we were able to garnish another body. So now we have 3 bodies that are being paid for out of that grant. Flood management. They told me, and I wanted to see, and now I know. The police department floods every 100 days. I'm bailing out water. The first flood was just more or less clean water. The second flood was raw sewage, and we actually called a company out. We called sort of Pro out, so that we could make sure that we had our floors, our walls sanitized, and then the third flood was more of a backup. It was just water too, and we had Public Works come out, and they did an excellent job. Thank you, John, getting out there and cleaning up the department. We still have our Servco to come back so that they can apply wax back on the floor as a final resolve, but we still have some issues with our tiles that we have to resolve before we can get that done. The flood management is how we're going to protect our records. Records are very important to us. In the 200 days, when I saw the first 2 floods, some of our 2014 records became wet. And so what we're going to be looking at for fiscal 16, just as a purview, is I'll be asking for resources so that we can digitalize those documents. That way we won't have an issue with paper records. The goal is to, every time we get a paper record, go ahead, digitalize it in whatever legal acceptable format it is, whether it's going to be a microfiche base, or whether it's going to be, some other kind of media base. Get that done so that we won't have to worry about those type of damaged records. It'll also allow us to lose a lot of weight and a lot of bulk, because the systems that exist now make those documents readable. So what we'll probably end up doing is getting some type of electronic record keeping and management system with an Adobe application so that the files can be searchable. That way, if the attorneys ever need any records, we can go in there and identify and select unique documents, pull them out for that record, also for FOIA requests. Equipment, the majority of our office equipment is circa 1950, so it's metal based, it's easy to clean, and that's something that we want to continue to do. We do do have membership in ESO, which is a law enforcement agency, surplus equipment, but it's only on the federal side. We've just identified the state side of that, which also partners up with the federal side, and they have more equipment available. It's more accessible because it's in Springfield, so we can go and get it a lot quicker. So within the next couple of weeks, I will be sending out through the village manager a document, because there has to be an ordinance agreeing to us going and getting this equipment so that they can invoice us the cost of that equipment. It's like pennies on the dollar. So for example, $200 chair would cost the village about $20. So that's what we're looking at. But we would still keep it probably with metal bases, things of that nature, plastic or metal bases, so that we could clean it just in case we sustain another flood. In terms of mold, we did, Serco did come out and we did find evidence of mold after the last flood, but that was part of the package. And what they were able to do is they were actually able to cut out the drywall portion that had that evidence of mold. So the remediation was to cut out that piece and then repair it. So that's been taken care of. Plus they sprayed it down so to prohibit additional spore growth. In terms of the facility, we'll have to start considering alternative plans. We have staff examining options for us, but when we're looking at it, the floods repeat, and it has poor ergonomics. We can't get, we're not able to function. When we sustain a flood, we have to come up into the chamber, and what that does, it brings a residual product up in the chamber area. So, that we also include within whatever cleaning applications that we use, so that it will be free of that. And then the roof, which I know the roof is undergoing repair and restoration. I think that they have already done, the engineers have come out and they've done inspection and estimates. So that aspect will probably get started. In terms of audits and critical systems, the staff were directed to look over the SkyCam system, and the SkyCam system, was all but defunct. No one was monitoring it. So what we did is we set a plan in place to get the 66 cameras up and running, which we did, and it was all ready and going and working and operable as of Memorial Day weekend. We now have the cameras down. Those 4 cameras are down because there was a traffic accident right at First and Madison, and unfortunately, that was where one of the wireless systems were. So when the one camera failed, 4 went out, and so Human Resources working with the insurance provider of the truck that damaged that pole to have the system reset up is going to cost about $9,000, but it won't come out of our pocket, and it will be deactivated. To move forward with that is that we have to remember that a lot of the cameras that started in the SkyCam system were 8 years old. So when I came into this looking at it, so now we have to look at replacement cameras. Some of the cameras that we got, the 66 cameras, they were able to do refurbished cameras, and they were able to get high-density cameras. But another aspect that we have to look at is that some of the cameras, we have to make sure that we have appropriate lighting. For example, there was a shooting on the Prairie Path, and it happened right behind a lot of our residents' homes. And the problem is that we had it on camera, we couldn't see it because we didn't have an infrared camera, and the lighting, did not exist on the Prairie Path. So that's an issue that we'll have to address, and we'll have to address cutting back more trees. But those are the type of things that we anticipate that we had to do, and that's why I had to ask for a request for a part-timer. That's why I juggled between 13 part-time officers and asked for one to be moved up into the telecommunication, which we probably will start to advertise within the next month. The property room, we had 2 audits conducted on our property room, and one was conducted by the Cook County Sheriff's Office, Inspector General, the other was conducted by Illinois State Police, and we will be making corrections on that. I've readjusted staff so that we'll be able to correct a lot of the errors and problems that were discovered from that audit inspection. The court system, we have problems like I discussed with District 4, and we found out the reason why is that a lot of documentation was not being completed in a lot of the reporting mechanisms. So right now, we have staff that are looking at redeveloping some of the reporting instruments. And then, you know, as we start to integrating our new technologies, our officers will be able to do type reports to give it a better appeal and a more professional look. And I think that that will correct a lot of the problems because it'll have spell check and a lot of the other features that are needed for professionalism. Parking, a proposal was created in February. I think you may have gotten a copy of that. I don't know if you did or not. For parking in 1955, parking, in fact, August 18th, 1955, parking was part of the police department. That's where you start to see an increase in a lot of the, automobiles throughout the country. It always was under the purview of the police chief, and they were responsible for meters, parking, as well as street parking and curb markings, and it later fell to the purview of the village manager. And there was, well, I don't know and I can't find, a lot of the documentation has been lost because the movement of the police station to this facility and then the floods, which destroyed a lot of records. But sometime in the early 70s, there was a woman by the name of Lucille Hankerson, and she managed parking from the police department probably up until 1995. At that time, right around 1999, the village asked for support from the state police, and they had a chief by the name of William Leach, and what he decided he was going to do is eliminate the employee-based running and management of the parking, and he had an outside entity, an outside vendor handle it. That existed from 1999 to 2004. At that time, Jason Urban, who was the village manager, caused it to come over to Village Hall, and it became split between the finance department and the police department, where the finance department does the administrative protocols for parking, and the police department does the actual enforcement part. The proposal was to bring it back into the police department so that we can start looking at a lot of enhancements, especially with the development and construction of the new metro station and a lot of the growth. Compliance tickets. We started the compliance ticket in May 2014. The last at the LLOC, the finance director said, and I thought one of the questions born was, why was that estimate so high? The reason why it was high is because, we looked at it from a year perspective, but when we started to initiate and implement the program, we gave it a 90-day, warning process, and so now we're getting more into the compliance end of the actual program. Professional policing, we started to look at culture, we look at dress, we look at equipment, and so, thanks to you, in February, we had the new squad cars. In March, we got new office equipment. We started to re-wax the floors, and so, and then the citizens start to see an increased visibility with police protection. Communications, we started to talk with more people, the MAPS meetings. Right now, the MAPS meetings are combined because we're conserving our resources. We were having maybe 6 people at one meeting, 2 or 3 at another. So we decided to combine the 2 MAPS programs so that we can have a better communication and feedback from the community. We also started to work in partnership with other commissions, with the trustees. We've had several different type of collaborations. And then positive environment. We looked at hiring and retention issues and started to increase activity with the Board of Fire Police Commission. We also we looked at crime stats. We looked at general calls, we looked at weapons, we looked at drugs, and saggy pants. And we started to do enhanced enforcement of those. And while I have saggy pants up there, I just wanted to make the comment is that, it's still an ordinance. And we're going to enforce all ordinances. And that's why we're recognized. Tactical operations. We have an overall decrease in crime by 11%. And that's primarily due to, we have a lot of young and aggressive officers out there. They're doing a lot of traffic stops. They're doing a lot of narcotic seizures and stops. But we also put together a tactical team over the summer. And we, in the same period of time as from last year, had a decrease in homicide by 40%, only because we were able to be out there and be more visible, and that was through the strategic planning of the TAC team. We've re-implemented MOUs with agencies, commitments to the school boards, commitments to, our housing, so that we can know who is coming in and out of, our community, and then with other agencies, so that we can work cooperatively together with them. In terms of technology, we have a plan to get new equipment. Right now we have 1 laptop, from our IT service. We were scheduled to have 17. We're waiting on that rollout. We are looking at least 4 more, and those 4 will be dedicated to our patrol base so that they can start doing reports and having a more professional look on them. In terms of financial management, we were working with the Director of Finance, and what we discovered was that, and I don't know if this is unique to my department, but most departments, we weren't using a system of purchase orders. And what that does is that it's like a program that balances your checkbook. And so we've, the staff has been directed that on things that don't come up immediate, they have to secure purchase order. And what that does, it allows the finance manager to the director to manage, what we're spending out of our budget. The system, what it does is it automatically populates into my budget line, and it says how much money I'm spending within that line. And so by utilizing that, I can always go to the finance director and find out what I'm using, and if I'm going over, and then make adjustments from that point. We need to make sure that we started looking at, are we identifying our budget correctly, our items, and are we placing them on things that we need to do? And we're going to be looking at some other things. Monies for mentoring, specialized assignments, and then also promotions. We're going to monitor our long and short-term goals to make sure that we are within our financial means. And then we're going to implement measures to establish alternative revenue sources. And we've been doing that. That's why we did the compliance tickets. All the money from the compliance tickets come back to the village. moving forward, what do we have to look at? We have to look at what our objectives are, what our tactics are, timelines. We have to do matrix so that we know that we're meeting those timelines, and then we have to look at what kind of resources we have. Some of the majority of our budgetary expenses are personnel, and those are directed. Those resources are directed from agreements under union contracts. We have 5 unions that we're operating in with the police department. We have the Illinois Council of Police, ICOPS, Metropolitan Alliance of Police Sergeants, which is MAPS. We have the Fraternal Order of Police, Teamster Local, and then the Service Employees International Union. In terms of new programs, the first part of January, we started the college internship program. So far to date, we've had 5 interns that have come into the village and have assisted us with a lot of programmatic activity. On May of 2014, we've reestablished our Explorer Post 100. We currently have 11 kids that are part of that post, and we were able to do a jazz concert so that the kids that join our Explorer program, they get to join without cost, so it's no cost to the village, and it's free to the kids as well. And then one of the big budget items, which is going to be a long-term payoff for us, I think I mentioned this once before. We had $550,000, of monies that we had to pay out for issues involving police officers, and it's primarily due to weakened policies and procedures. So we had a membership with Lexipol, and we have staff assigned to pull out policies so that our policies are updated, so that we never will be challenged, with the type of practices that our agency holds. So what are our next steps? Our next steps are to develop a strategic plan where we set up very finite goals and objectives, and we have to make sure that we have a directed purpose. We have to, again, look at operations with our investigations, and we'll be formulating new writing mechanisms. And then we have to, last thing, follow with the plan. Most importantly, I want to leave with before I open it up to questions, the only way the police department's going to get this done and the village is going to grow is if we're unified. And there was an anonymous quote that I want to leave you with, unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved, and that's where we're going. I'll take questions now.
Madam President. Good evening. I have just 2 questions. We spoke, speaking of the camera system that we have, the SkyCam, and we spoke, and you told me you were going to look into the point of getting personnel that would just be able to, especially overnight, scan it, see if they see anything. And I'm really concerned about, because I noticed an increase in the fly dumping, especially at night in St. Charles. Especially, I know Public Works, there was some bunch of stuff, and Public Works did get over there and got it out, but now there's anyway. And also a surge in people dumping tires.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, did we ever get, did you ever get the manpower to have someone just, scan the cameras overnight and see what they see?
No, we don't have a staff. We were going through a search for a full-time telecommunicator. That's finally been completed, but just right as we got one, we have another one down. So I don't know where that's going to go, but my hope is that in November we'll go ahead and get a part-time telecommunicator in, and then our communicator that's down will recover and will be able to be reintegrated into the service. But even with the part-timer, because we have a part TCO down, that part-timer will probably be backfilling that because we'll otherwise be drained with overtime.
And they'll be in the 911 center,
Yes, sir.
and is that like afternoon, I mean, they'll just like overnight, you know, where they scan, say in the day, what happened in the 12-hour period or the 8-hour period of darkness, where most of this crap takes place?
Yeah, essentially, they'll have them like at a mid-range shift, probably right when the telecommunicators operate on 12-hour shifts. And so what I'll do is I'll have them do in-between shifting so that people can go and be broken for lunch or other breaks, you know, at whatever side shift they're on. And then they'll operate for 4 hours in between the transition of one group of telecommunications with another group.
And the last question I have is, I see Mr. Lucas is not here, the engineer's not here. Maybe, I know you and I have spoken about it, I think Mr. West, maybe Mr. West can help me. There was, I was told by the engineer that the major problem of the flooding in the police department was 2 outdated giant pumps that would be able to excavate, take the water out as it can. Have we done anything with that, or was that
The 2 pumps have been removed, the temporary pump was placed in. The problem was a twofold problem. The pit itself had too much debris off in it. The pumps are not grinder pumps, so the type of debris that's off in it, the debris that's in there, cannot be crushed up. So it's clogging up the pump and causing it to go out. Pumps been removed, they've been checked. We have received the rate for the local hope to come back, telling us how much it would be to replace those. Additionally, they'll give us a quote on grinding, putting in 2 grinders, so that if we continue to have that type of debris, big types of damage, then it's something to be ground up and kicked out. The other portion of that is going to have to rob the line, which we're investigating right now, going northbound from the police station toward the library to see if there's anything that's flowing down that line coming into the basin. So if the issue is being addressed.
Also, just to piggyback on what John said, I did have a talk with Lucan, and one of the things that we discussed is the possibility of developing a screen that can act as a barrier for that debris. And that would be like a temporary solution with the new pumps that will help. I'm not an engineer, but there's a natural spring up underneath the police station. You know, I can only imagine that, you know, it's doing an erosion of the concrete base up underneath the station. And that's one of the reasons that we had clean water seepage. It came up from the floors. It didn't come in from, you know, the doors.
Okay, that was my final question. Is this more of a seepage? Because I'm saying, I understand the concept of the fresh water, but I'm not understanding the raw sewage that we get in conjunction with, I mean, I can understand the sewer system, the metropolitan sanitary district sewer system gets overflowed, gets tapped in a heavy rain. So we are dealing with fresh water seepage and sewage backup. Is that basic? And we don't
Yes,
have
sir.
the pumps to activate. That's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're dealing with both issues. You have the pumps. What you have is a problem with what type of pumps you have. So whether the screen that the chief brought up, the screen would be less effective than the grinder pump. The screen requires constant cleaning based on what kind of debris is going on. The grinder pump can grind up the substance and kick it out. What you alluded to is the backflow. Well, the police station
And you, I think you mentioned to me, because I was asking about the cost, or maybe it was Lucas.
I think
Yeah, the cost would be,
Cost on repair, on doing the pump still is yet to be received. They have examined the pumps that they took out. That thing, that they're giving us a cost on that, but we also told them to give us a cost on putting in grinder pumps, as opposed to putting back in the pumps that were removed, putting in new pumps that are grinders.
thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Dawes?
Good evening.
Need that.
Has there been a plan mapped out to trim trees around cameras until we're able to possibly obtain infrared cameras?
With the initial redeployment of the Skycam, yes, we worked cooperatively with Public Works, you know, so that we could get those trees trimmed back. Problem is that summer came in, warm weather, you know, foliage, it grew back.
So just moving forward, with the fall here and now, would it make sense, and I don't know if you would be able to answer, maybe so, Mr. West, would it make sense to address the trees that weren't able to be addressed due to foliage and take care of them now, so when the spring comes, we'll kind of be ahead of the game?
It is our intention to try to do winter pruning. Again, that's a proposal we look forward to the village manager, and at that time, assess, evaluate whether we have the appropriate resources to do so. But every year, we have that exact same plan. It's not, we try to do it every year. It simply comes down to the resources.
Can you speculate if it's gonna happen with the resources?
I can't.
No?
I can look at the resources that have been allocated for me to perform my functions this year, and I have gone above in several areas. I'm somewhat below in others, but when it's all equaled out, I can't really tell you right now based on where we are.
Trustee, is that?
I have one more.
Okay,
The 17, this is my last question. 17 computers that you mentioned, are you able to tell us what the delay is? Would that maybe we can address the delay?
My understanding was that it was originally budgeted in FY 14, you know, resources. We were supposed to go through a process like Excel. Some of our equipment is on Excel. Microsoft does not accept Excel. I'm now looking at options for like our telephone recording devices, so that we can have a graduated replacement where the vendor that we utilize can bring us a new computer with the operating system Windows 8, and so that as we start to build up from our IT base, then we can just go ahead and just add on into that system. No, I don't. The answer to your question is no. I don't know what occurred for us not to get the 17 computers in fiscal 14. You know, we're now fiscal 15, and I don't know if the IT was budgeted for that. So.
Thank you.
Trustee Cross?
Good evening. PowerPoint presentations are wonderful, and I thank you for putting one together. Just one thing I'd like to know with regard to it is where the statistics that fall with it. I mean, there are certain areas you covered, and for instance, you talk about block clubs. How many block clubs have been partnered to have relationships with your staff to get, you know, the dialogue going between staff and the community?
I personally have met with 4 different block clubs. You know, yes, I don't have that statistic right now. The community resource officer, he maintains those, and I can get that to you.
Can you provide that to the board?
Yes.
In terms of the training for the elderly service, how many officers were trained in that area?
For the west suburban area, there were 15 officers.
Village of Maywood.
Only one, because the other officer assigned had a conflict that came up. and so he couldn't attend, so we were unable to get one of our officers through.
And is that individual in a position where they can share the information that they learned in that training program with the rest of the staff? I mean, because if we only have one individual, we got a situation, we need to be cross-training so that we have more than one person. And if you've got one down and only one left, what happens if both are down? Then we don't have any service.
Investigative techniques, the person that's certified, will be able to, they just have a broader based knowledge. So, for example, if there's a theft of a checkbook, it's just a theft. And so any investigator can go ahead and investigate that. If it's an elderly person and they start using those checks, there are other options. And so what the certified officer can do is just give direction, and yes, they can share that information.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to expound on that a little bit more. You talked about there being abuse of elderly residents, and the question I have is, are we communicating or are we collaborating with the Illinois Attorney General's office, because there are elderly programs and they have a staff that could also assist us in that area. So if we have residents who are experiencing these kinds of problems, then we should be looking at that so that we're not taking our staff away from some of the other responsibilities that they can care for.
That's exactly why I got the certification program here, because that person is going to be our in-house resource, so that if there's something that we don't want to log our investigation process up with, then we can do the referral.
With regard to the flooding, this is, we all know, it's been a repeat process, and you flood, we flood as well. There was a reference to 2 outdated pumps. What kind of pumps are these? Are these, I mean, do we have, my question is, whatever they may be, do we have any generators? I mean, have we given consideration to maybe getting a generator so that if there is a situation with a heavy storm, then maybe that could be used temporarily until we get a permanent fix? And that may help reduce the flooding,
Okay.
especially in your station.
In terms of having a generator, yes, we have a generator, and it's in the next room behind you, and it services a whole building, and I have to have that because because I have prisoners and other things like that. I have to make sure that I have creature comforts, to exist. So that's all in place. The problem that we have is, like what Director West pointed out, is that the pumps that we had, my understanding from the floor plan and discussing with the engineer is that the initial design in 1983 was to have 3 pumps. As they put the 2 pumps in that are antiquated and outdated, which need to be replaced, they couldn't do the 3rd pump because that's when they discovered the natural spring. So now we have temporary pumps working. Then we have to operate manually. It has nothing to do with the generator or anything like that. And that's what the dialogue is with engineers and the cost that Trustee Rivers talked about. We want to make sure that we're going to get the best bang for our buck and something that's going to work. And that's what the rest is, building.
Okay. With respect to the audits, you mentioned that there were independent audits by ISP as well as Cook County.
Yes.
And you also reported previously that funds were missing as well as other materials.
Yes.
What is the current status? What have we put in place to prevent this from happening under your watch? And I know these are things that occurred prior to your coming on board, but do we have a policy in place now to rectify those problems?
The policy is not completed yet, but that's for the purpose of Lexipol. But, yes, we have a rough draft of a policy. The entire policy manual anticipating being put out January 1. And we'll give the officers 1 month to read it. They'll sign off for it, and then it will become in effect in February, and they'll be held accountable to that. The policy that exists now from the 2006 policy manual is still in effect, but we have new staff that is actually monitoring it. We're trying to correct the errors that were articulated by Illinois State Police. I'm really not looking at a lot of the errors by the county, only because there was a gap, in the audit. I mean, they made some good points, and we are going to look at that and build them into the policy. But the main one is the one that the state police conducted.
Okay. Does the board receive an overview of the tickets that are issued? I've not seen anything since I've been on the board, so it's just a question, do we get this, or is this something that we could have?
It's something you can have. I usually do a monthly report with the village manager, and I put it there, but
is there a reason why we're not getting?
I'll forward them to you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Same thing with the audits of the critical services, general calls, weapons, drugs, saggy pants. Can we get some statistics on what the monthly and annual, because in comparison, when we're talking about looking at the budget, and I've heard you several times tonight speak about trying to increase staff in this area and that area, it would be good to have some statistics here to tell us, just more clearly what it is, where the reductions are, if any, and where the heavy areas are that need additional staff. And not just by hearing you talk about it up here, but backing that up with some statistics that show what the reports are.
Okay, I'll rescind it, but in all the trustees' emails, I had authorization to forward you that type of information, and so I did a comparison over 4 years, and it contained all the statistics and the breakdown of the major criminal elements that I highlighted on those forms. I'll make sure that I re-forward that to you, and it even had a table and bar graphs.
Okay, and then what's the timeline in the recommendations that you made? When can we see
The strategic plan?
the implementation of it? When is that going to roll out?
Well,
is that all for January, or?
That's going to be all for January. Essentially, when I came in office, and my commitment to the community was not to immediately change anything, but to look at policies, practices, and procedures. And so that's what I've done. And so now I've identified what the problems are and where they exist. And so now, whatever problems that are, I need to start implementing change to correct, so that we can move into a direction. We have a very focused mission. The agency is going to become professionalized by moving to standardization for accreditation. And so that's our mission, that's our focus.
And that's a process, and it takes a while, and so while we may have long wish lists of what we'd like to do, the focus has to, they're short successes, and then there are long terms, and so I'm just trying to understand the difference between the short and long term of those, and I don't want to take up the rest of the evening, I'm just sharing it with you. And then one other thing, and then I'm done, and that is, there are two things. We have been getting a considerable amount of trash dumping in our community. People just drive by, they pull in front of your house and they park for a moment. Next thing you know, you've got a styrofoam bag of baby diapers and so on and so forth. We have 66 cameras here. I know it won't cover the entire community, but my question is there a way for that also to be part of the monitoring and reviewing from your staff? Can you pull up license plates that, maybe captures some of them? Is that something that we can look into?
Once I get this temporary person, the part-time person, yes, that's the whole job, to look at different kind of criminalizations.
So what are the people doing now who are looking at it?
They are so busy, we are so busy with other traffic. I mean, with shooting and calls for service, I will offer every trustee an opportunity to come and sit in telecommunications.
I'd like to do that.
Because when you see what the staff has to go through, you know, I mean, we can't afford more staff, and I realize that, so we have to work with what we have, but they have a lot of work that they have to do, a lot of work. And then at any one given time, regrettably, one of the telecommunications officers, her mother passed, and we'll be forwarding up the information about that death, you know, in the next couple of days. And so that shortens my staff down now by 2, you know, and so that means everybody has to work more time as a small group. So you will have essentially people working 16 hours a day, you know, to cover the village's needs, you know, which is mentally and physically draining. And so they do a tremendous job. I can't do anything but compliment them. And that's why they can't, you know, do what you're asking at this time. And that's why I need to wait till I can get this part-time staff.
Okay, and then the other thing is, the funding is residents. I've been getting calls from residents who have had problems, certainly both you and the village manager, and the follow-up is still not where it should be. I sat with the 2 of you over a month ago on a particular issue. I think you know which one I'm referring to. There should not be that kind of delay in responding to residents. When I get it, I try to bring it to the appropriate individuals. That would be you and the village manager. I should not get cornered in the community by someone saying, nobody's called me, nobody's followed up. So that is my last request, and that is let's be a little bit more expeditious in following up with residents' issues. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good report, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item C, Finance Committee and Manager Report. We have on item C, number 1, Village of Maywood Open Invoices Report as of October 3rd, 2014. That's on the pack on page 19.
Are there any questions? Mayor, Trustee Crawford.
On page, this is open invoice.
Yes.
Page 3. 21 on the side. I don't see it. 21 on the side. Item 34902-243.
Okay, can you repeat that?
Item, is it, it may be cut off. It looks like 4902-243 is for Arlington Resources Group. And what position is that the individual is filling? Cashier? Okay, and on the next page, same individual, is this for overtime? Because there's a difference in her.
Yes.
On page 25, items 193A. My only question here is that the previous ones, they had just printing it, so I wanted to know if that was the appropriate charge. Center office computer supplies. At page 25. I said 193A. Fourth from the bottom. It's for business cards. And I just wanted to know if, in that center column, it's under office/computer supplies.
Page 7 at the top.
Where you see page number? I don't see page number, there's one going on the side. Page 25 on the side, on the left side.
Okay,
She doesn't have.
this is, yes, it's under office/computer supplies, so it's office supplies. It's, for the trustee.
Okay. I mean, I just saw printing in the other ones, and I just wanted to know if it had
Okay,
been.
I understand.
Okay, next, page is 26. At the bottom, last entry, that's for cleaning service, and I just wanted to know if that was for the chambers as well. Last item on that page.
This is, is that Davis Street?
I'm
sorry, I don't have Davis.
Crystal Management. Crystal Management.
Crystal Management does provide cleaning services for this building and, Village Hall.
Well, the reason why I asked that is we had asked that there be a discussion with whoever is providing service for cleaning the chamber, because it hasn't been looking its finest. And so I just wanted to know if that's the person, if you're not.
Yeah. I know they shampoo the carpets over at Village Hall. So they're, I think, making it right.
Okay, page 28, second entry, emergency. It's quarterly, it's almost $7,000. My question is, why would that be under miscellaneous?
That's where we have all of their, 911 expenses as miscellaneous.
Okay, and on page 30, it starts with Jose Granados. And it goes on to the next page. And my question is, if we were using our summer youth to do the cutting of grass and cleaning of these properties, why are we being billed by an individual?
This appears to
well.
be time before the program began.
Some of it is, but I brought it up because it starts off in the previous month, but there's, on page 31, there's July time, $930, and then there's the two on the bottom there for $1,600, $1,300. I just don't want us to be paying for two services if that was supposed to have come out of the group.
You're not, this group, J&G Landscaping, cut some of the biggest properties. Some of you can cut every property. Some of the properties you're looking at, pumping station, places like that, which are larger properties. That's
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to know. And on page 34, thanks, Mr. West. The municipal web services, it says consultant for the two entries, and my question is that just label that for the services for being a web, what is it, webmaster or something,
Right.
or were they out here for some other reason, the system was down, or?
Are you speaking of the $385?
$385 and $422.50.
Right, they just host it, and they're available, for maintenance calls if we need to call them, but they have not physically been out.
And I have received some resident calls regarding the trying to pay their bills online, and it's not working. So can you check that, or? Okay.
It has nothing to do with this company.
I'm sorry?
It has nothing to do with this company.
Well, I'm just, since I'm bringing it up, I don't want to.
Oh, I'm aware of it.
Okay, all right. And then my last are on page 40 and 41, and that's to AT&T. And I just wanted to, no, I'm sorry, SBC. And they're for long distance calls, $616 one, $616 on another, $677 on another, and $683 on the other. So a total of $1,900. Are we making that many calls outside of Illinois, or?
No, long distance doesn't, only refer to out of state. There's, miles that they term as long distance.
Are
So
we,
it can be somewhere in Chicago that's considered long distance, it depends on the miles.
okay, and when are we, switching over to the Comcast so that we're not being charged these high rates for Illinois calls? I mean, it's been quite a while, since we signed off on Comcast. What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, this bill is from July here. We have switched over to Comcast.
Okay, so we shouldn't see these anymore?
You shouldn't.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Lanye. Item number 6 under the agenda is approval of minutes from a regular board meeting for Tuesday, September 16th. Those minutes are found in your packet on page 46.
Mayor, Trustees, make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting for Tuesday, September 16th, 2014.
Second.
The move in second that board, the minutes be accepted for September, Tuesday, September 16, 2014. Are there any questions? Any questions? Roger?
Page 53, just type of wording spell. The end of the first paragraph, the statement that was attributed to me, and which is more important than a few extra dollars in the, it says chauffeurs. My comment was property coffers.
Where is that?
Page 53 at the bottom.
First paragraph.
Yeah, first paragraph. The last sentence
Fifth
of the
line.
description before the vote.
Fifth line.
In item C?
Pardon me?
In item C?
All the way at the top. All the way at the top, we're talking about the redevelopment agreement for the Maywood Fine Arts.
Page 53, fifth line down. Page 8 of 10.
And what's the,
The very last word in that paragraph is chauffeur. It says chauffeurs in that should show. Say coffers.
Coffers.
Or equivalent.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Trustee DeCross?
Amendment, changes, make an amendment to the motion, the, noted changes.
Second. Duly noted. Trustee DeCross?
Aye.
Trustee Jaycox?
Aye.
Trustee Doors? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot? Trustee Rivers?
Aye.
Mayor Perkins? Aye. Motion carried.
Item 6B, approval of minutes for a special board meeting for September 27, 2014. That's found in your packet on page 56.
Madam President,
Yes,
move to approve the special board minute meetings for September 27th, 2014.
Second.
The move in second that special board meeting be accepted September 27, 2014. Are there any questions? Call the roll.
Trustee Cross?
aye.
Trustee Jaycox?
Aye.
Trustee Doors? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot? Trustee Rivers?
Aye.
Mayor Perkins?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 7, approval of warrants. Under A, we have warrant list 200377 for the Village of Maywood, expenditures total through October 3rd, 2014, in an amount of $1,270,547.39. That's found in your packet on page 59.
number 200377 for expenditures through October 3rd, 2014, amount of $1,270,547.39.
Second.
And moved in second that the warrant which be accepted, 200377. Are there any questions?
Ma'am,
Trustee,
I'd like to ask a question. Page 59, 34021, a steamer, what was it for?
It was for carpet cleaning in the chamber.
Okay, this is, you rented it for the change.
Yes, for cleaning carpet.
Okay, I have page 64 for staffing for $644, 34050.
What page?
64.
64.
What was the check number?
34050.
That's right.
84050.
Huh?
84050.
Oh, the max.
It's been cut off, because it looks like.
Yeah, all of them are, okay. Yeah, that's what I couldn't read.
Okay, the max cut off.
This is for staffing in the mayor's office. I don't have any specifics.
But the general fund, how many hours is consistent of work?
The hours are different, but I believe the wage is $12, if that helps. I don't have each of these invoices, or calculator right here with me to tell you, but I can calculate it out.
Okay. Number, page 75, 34162. This is mileage and meals for $173.31. Is this from our grant? We do the grant pay bill, the meals.
For petty cash?
From petty cash?
Oh, no, it wasn't for the grant, it was for another, conference.
For the conference. The mayor conference.
Page 76, flyers and posters for $310. 34175. What is it for? Flyers for what?
4075?
8417. I keep saying that. They got cut off here. Looks like threes instead of eight. They got split down.
Check the bottom line in 1921.
I'll wait a minute.
This was the safe summer program.
What was the check number?
84175.
Oh, 841.
Last check.
Okay, I'm on 075.
Okay, number, page 80. This is IDNR grant. 34203 for $576. For what?
This was salary for the coordinator of the, program.
When did the end of the program stop and the money was turned back?
This, the money has not been turned back yet. The final paperwork hasn't been drafted that I'm aware of. That's something that's not done in the finance department. But the money, has not been returned as yet. So this was the final week. This was for 1 week of pay and then last week for the grant.
So that's what the $576 was.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken.
Madam President,
Trustee,
Ms. Setch,
Yes.
the 576, can you give me, what date is that? Because the program ended in July 15th, something like that.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that these checks are old because of our, summer schedule. So these are just the last checks that you hadn't seen, since our last meeting, but I can provide the date for you.
Okay, and this is out of the $35,000 that was
Yeah.
allocated? This
Yes.
is out of the village money?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Trustee Clark.
one for the record, it wasn't, the program did not end July, it ended in August. So just,
August what?
whatever that date was, 15, 16, but I heard, Trustee Rivers indicate July. I just
Thank you for the correction.
wanted you to know that. One question that's on page 59, the A4015 question is, did we do an inventory list, or have we prepared an inventory list with regard to the equipment that was purchased for the summer grant program? That's all I want.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Cross.
Aye.
Jacobs. Aye. Trustee Doris. Aye. Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Aye.
Trustee Rivers.
Aye.
Mayor Perkins. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Lonnie.
You're welcome.
Item number 8 is old business. And under old business, we just want to update the board and the public on a couple of projects. Washington Boulevard project from 2nd to 6th is the grant that we received from Cook County. That project should be starting fairly soon, within the next week. The main curb will be replaced tentatively, scheduled for Friday. And also flat work, sidewalk, and driveway pavement should be started thereafter. Sewer schedule is started for next week to start restoring those areas. And as far as paving and milling, that should be starting October 27th. So the Washington project from 2nd to 6th is underway. Engineers along with myself, we met with contractors a few weeks ago. So barricades are already on the site, so you guys are aware. Update on alley grading. Alley grading, we have secured millings, and in regards to that, the village will be starting that project with Mr. Strong by next Monday. We have flyers already ready to go out to the neighbors, so they'll be prepared. We'll be stockpiling the millings right here on 5th in Washington area. That way we're able to get to them quickly and start grading that. Just want everyone to know that that project is starting on the way. Are you everything else, Tom? All right, great.
Mayor, Trustee Cross. Mr. Myers, under old business, I had asked for some information at a previous meeting pertaining to this alley grading, and I asked you to provide the board with the total number of alleys, and you were supposed to get back to us and provide that information, and you did not. So, still need to know that.
We surveyed 17 alleys today. We were trying to have the millings dropped in front of them, and that's just 17 straight alleys. If you break them into sections, you're somewhere around 34. So you're talking about straight 2-block areas. That's 17 alleys, 17 locations of alleys that require grading. That does not include the concrete alleys that have already been done. Those are just the gravel alleys.
Are you saying that only 17 alleys are going to be, is that what you're saying?
You know what I'm saying? We surveyed 17 locations. If you break them up into sections, some of the alleyways of that 17 are actually long strips, say, for example, from Oak Street down to Washington, considered one alley, one area, because it was one long stretch. If you break them into sections, then you multiply it out by 2 more. So you possibly be at 34 alleys that require alley grading. The remainder of the alleys were in relatively good condition. They'll probably still be graded just to make sure that they're all uniform. Those that are concrete, certainly we won't do anything with those. The only alleys we looked at today were on the south end of town. There are an additional 12 alleys on the north side of town. So you can add that up to about 29. You multiply it out by 2, somewhere around 58 alleys that we might be dealing with.
My question was, what was the total number of alleys in the village of Maywood? That was the question. So that's what I was looking for a response to. And then breaking it up, that's you guys' level of expertise, not mine. So I just needed you to come back and give the board that information, total. And it pertained to, so the question is, if Boyd Strom is going to pave them, we need to be, grade them, we need to know how many are going to be. So since that number never came up in the discussion, that's the reason why I asked the question. So, you know, I mean, I'm trying to understand, if we're getting our money's worth by this deal. Pardon me?
I'll provide you with the exact number.
I can't hear you.
I will provide you with the exact number.
Okay, all right, thank you, okay. That's all I need on that. Now, I do wanna, still under old business, I want to make a comment, and I want it to be a part of the record, because, when we finally discuss this, this will not be, the public will not be present for that. And that is that we are in a position to hire a village manager, as you already know. It is getting down to the wire, but I want to publicly say that I do not and have not agreed with the process from the time the tenure of our former village manager, William Barlow, resigned. We should not have been in a position where we have gone through a hiring process when no one sitting on this board is an expert in hiring high-level executives. We are members of the Illinois Municipal League as well as other organizations who have a level of expertise who could have assisted us, and it may have been for a fee, but with the situation in the village of Maywood being as it is, it would have been well worth the dollars. We are about to hire someone. The process did not include this board doing its due diligence. This is the only position that the village board is responsible for hiring. We have sat here and allowed an attorney, an acting manager, and a human resources specialist to do the work that we should have been doing. I provided this board with a brochure from the Illinois Municipal League outlining the suggestions that they have for going through this process. They have been in existence for many years. They could have provided the expertise that we needed, that we lack to go through this process. So I am saying to you that when the final results are in, if you are not pleased, you need to see your trustees. Thank you.
Mayor, I have an opposing view to that viewpoint. We went through a lot of due diligence process, and we're still going through them. There were a lot of professionals, which did include the attorney who should be helping in that process. It's the blanket statement that nobody on the board is involved with hiring high-level executives. Not true. I know I hire people with licenses and degrees and things for my company, but that's not really what it's all about. We went through months of scrutiny through this process. The candidates came. They're working in this capacity in other towns. It's nothing new for them. They've done it in several other towns. So basically, take offense to the suggestion that the process, although everybody can have a different opinion, but it's offensive to suggest that it was just arbitrarily or sloppily done. Maybe there could have been some things done better, but there was a lot of effort that went into that process, and we did have a lot of advice and counsel and documents and other things that we do visit in that process. Nobody knows how much homework people are doing offline. You only know what's happening when you're sitting here in this room. But they have experience, a lot of experience, and in fact, what makes the decision so tough is because they do. There's so many people from across the country. I believe only 2 of them were anywhere close to being local. And so when you get that level of talent, it's not an easy thing to go through and discern who might be better for this position than the others. But just so you know, there was a lot of effort and thought put into the process. And just like when you hire anybody, there could be some pros and cons, but we're not, it's not like we're hiring somebody who's just a rookie and does not have any experience, they got a ton of it.
Any other questions? Mr. Meyer?
Mr. Mayor, now we're moving into the omnibus agenda. Item number 9. On the omnibus agenda, we have items A through S. Items A through S.
Motion? There. Trustee,
Make a motion to approve the omnibus agenda items A through S.
Second.
been moved in second, that we omnibus agenda, A through S. Now, there's some that you want to pull.
Mayor,
Trustee Crawford.
who seconded that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear who seconded it. Can you
Doris,
three
second.
people?
Doris, trustee Doris.
Thank you. I'd like to pull L, M, and S, as in Sam. Larry, Moe,
Anyone else?
and Shep.
Anyone else? Okay, the omnibus agenda has been approved except for L, M, and S. Oh,
I amend my motion for approval of the omnibus agenda for items, A through S minus items L, M, and S.
Second.
the moving second that omnibus agenda be approved except for, L, M, and S. Call the roll.
Trustee Cross,
Aye.
trustee Jaycox.
Aye.
Trustee Doris.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Aye.
Trustee Rivers.
Aye.
Mayor Perkins.
Aye.
Item L, consideration to approve payment to Klein, Thorpe, and Jenkins for legal retainer services rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $11,621.
Make a motion to approve, consideration to approve payment to Klein, Thorpe, and Jenkins for legal retainer services rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $11,621.
Second.
The moving second to approve payment to Frank and Jenkins for the legal retainer service rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $11,621. Are there any questions? No question, just call the roll.
Trustee Cross,
No.
trustee Jaycox.
Aye.
Trustee Doris.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Aye.
Trustee Rivers.
Aye.
Mayor Perkins.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item M, consideration to approve payment to Klein, Thorpe, and Jenkins for legal services rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $15,222.13.
Motion.
Motion to approve payment to Klein, Thorpe, and Jenkins for legal services rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $15,222.13.
Second.
The moving second consider to approve payment to Klein, Thorpe, and Jenkins for the legal service rendered during August 2014 in the amount of $15,222.13. Are there any questions? Just call in the roll. Call the roll.
Trustee Cross.
No.
Trustee,
Aye.
trustee Doris.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Aye.
Trustee Rivers.
Aye.
Mayor Perkins.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item S, consideration to approve payment to DSW Home for Illinois Ike Disaster Recovery Program, which is a grant, in the amount of $29,801.87.
Motion.
Madam President,
Trustee Rivers.
I'd make a motion to consider payment to DSW Homes for Illinois Ike Disaster Recovery Program grant in the amount of $29,801.87.
Second.
Been moved in second, consider to approve payment to DSW Homes for Illinois IK Disaster Recovery Program grant in the amount of $29,801.87. Call for vote.
Trustee Cross?
Question.
Oh, question.
I asked what were the procedures for the approval of these funds through this state program, and that it be provided for the members of the board. We have not received that.
May I respond?
Yes.
Yeah, from my understanding, I sent that item out, I want to say a couple of months ago, the other board members received it.
I did.
I did not.
Well, I
The
will.
procedures. I know who was awarded. My question initially was, what was the process and how were the individuals selected? So I have a list of who received it. I asked about the procedures.
This outdates me. What I did, I went to the file, I pulled out all the information I had, and I sent it out to you along with the other trustees of the mayor.
I have a list. I do not have the procedures. Can you provide the board with, well, it seems like I'm the only one that would not have a copy, so.
I'll make sure you get a copy.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the roll. Trustee Cross?
I'm gonna abstain.
Trustee Jacob?
Aye.
Trustee Doris? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Aye.
Trustee Rivers?
Aye.
Mayor Perkins?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 10, new business. Consideration to approve a resolution for an honorary street sign for Mr. Anthony J. Thomas, Village of Maywood, former coordinator of compliance officer, and the waived application fee.
Mayor,
Trustee Ross.
I will concur with the recommendation of the traffic committee and move to approve this petition for honorary street sign for Mr. Anthony J. Thomas, a longtime employee of this village and resident of this village.
Second.
Moved in second. Consider to approve an honorary street sign for Mr. Anthony J. Thomas, Village Committee former coordinator of compliance officer, and waive the application fee. Are there any questions?
Mayor,
Trustee Cross.
I had requested, asked the board to, hold off on this until we have a village manager, and the reason being is that the application, and I stated this publicly in the presence of, Mr. Thomas's will, and, I had indicated that there was nothing personally with regard to her request and her family's request. My issue and concern pertained to the actual documents that were presented as a result of this application, along with others that have been presented in the last 12 months. There is a serious problem with our Commission on Traffic and Safety and the process, and I would have hoped that this board would have patiently waited until a new village manager was hired so that we could have this matter resolved once and for all. As a result, we're pushing this, and these applications are not being presented to the board complete and in compliance with our ordinances.
Madam President,
Trustee Doris.
this document that we have in front of us, is this not the document used to request for honorary street name changes?
Exactly, yes.
And I would ask that the documents that led up to this resolution being generated, clerk, you can validate that they are in your office?
Right, and the motion should, include the approval of the resolution.
May I have
So it needs to be,
you got
Yes, that has been.
And just to add, trustee George, the application is in the package. It was in the package last
Right.
LOC, it's in the package tonight.
Okay.
Trustee Jacob.
Mayor, the whole issue of the process and procedure that's used by traffic and safety and the ordinance has been under question. And we have determined that we would take that under advisement. I think that we should move forward with this particular item for Mr. Thomas. And when the new manager gets here, review that whole process, so everybody will be on board. But currently, this is the way that we've been doing things, and our biggest issue the last time was that it was not brought before the board to approve the, application and the signage. And that's the only thing that's changed.
Trustee Crow.
Mayor, we have a problem here with this application, and I'm looking at what was submitted by the Traffic and Safety Commission. So we have a person who is serving in multiple capacities, and I'm not quite sure how an application can be submitted and approved, and nobody catches the fact that we've got individuals on the board signing in various capacities. So how do we push things forward, and how do we get that corrected?
Mayor,
Trustee.
could the trustee indicate who on the board signed so we know who she's talking about?
Mayor, every board member received the same application that I received for review, and had it been read, it's jumping right in your face. All you have to do is look at the application. Traffic and safety application. Read it.
Madam President, Trustee Crow, are you through with your issue?
I'm done.
Okay. Trustee George.
Can you please call the motion?
Mayor,
Make the amended motion.
Mayor, my motion was on the basis of honor. We started out this meeting. Are you recognized? We started out this meeting with honoring a citizen who had a business for quite a long time. The whole thing about the spirit of honor is not to have it entangled with everything you can come up with to possibly fly in the face of honoring this gentleman and his widow. My motion is on the basis of honoring. I would like not to have typos and all the rest of that stand in the way of this man who worked for all these years with the village, which is the essence of what we're trying to do. Everything else, in my view, is secondary. And so, fortunately, the widow was not here, as she was the last time when this entanglement was brought up. But, you know, our village is not going to be able to move forward if we look for every single thing that you can to disgrace it. So, my motion is on the floor as it stands for this to be accepted, and that this gentleman and his legacy and memory be honored.
Second. The motion is to be amended to include the approval of the resolution.
That's correct. Just to clarify, the motion should be to approve a resolution giving the 1800 block through the 2100 block of South 13th Avenue an honorary street designation in memory of Anthony Tony Thomas, and to waive the fees associated with the application.
Mayor,
Trustee Rob.
let me clarify my motion. That it be inclusive of the acceptance of the resolution for giving the 1800 block through the 2400 block of South 13th the honorary street designation in the memory of Anthony Tony Thomas, and that any associated fees be waived.
Second.
Yeah.
2100 block of South 13th.
Second.
Mayor,
Just a minute, please. Please. You made the motion. It has been seconded.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then go with the motion. The motion has been moved and seconded that the honorary First Street sign for Anthony J. Thomas, Georgia, minimum form coordinator, compliance officer, and waive the application fee and the resolution for the 1800 block through the 2100 block of 13th and Village of Maywood, for 2 years. Now,
What was that last part?
for 2 years.
For 2 years?
It's 2 years, only 2 years. Now, it's only 2 years.
That changed too, okay.
Yeah, that's 2 years. 2 years. Now,
Do I have a floor?
no, is that question? Question,
Um,
Cross.
Let me say, Mayor, that, it is not designed to disrespect the late Mr. Thomas, nor his family. His widow was present here at the last board meeting, and while many of you may decide to disagree sometimes, one has to stand by themselves and present issues that are not popular, but are correct and appropriate. If we're going to enforce the rules for the residents and for the businesses to do things in decency and in order, then we must do it too. And we've got to stop this constantly wanting to blow things off and brush them off to the side because we don't want to do the right thing. So when things come before this board, the board should be willing to carry out the process that it put in place as an ordinance or law. And if you don't want to enforce it anymore, then get rid of the ordinance or the law. I'm just trying to follow the procedures. When it states, I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just trying to cover out my duties as a sitting member of this board and trying to get things done in the decency and order that this village and its residents deserves. We have other individuals, so if you want to be technical, let's look at this, and then I'll close. We have a late mayor who passed. We have no street. We have other people who have paved the way and did great things in this community. We have no streets. So when we do this, let us do it, and let's do it the right way, so that if we're honoring people, let's include the other individuals as well. Thank you.
Call the roll, please. Trustee Cross?
I'm abstaining.
Trustee Jaycox?
Aye.
Trustee Doris?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Ladford?
Aye.
Trustee Rivers?
Aye.
Mayor Perkins? Aye. Motion carried.
Still in new business, item 10, item B, consideration to approve payment to U.S. Water and Fire Restoration for repairs to the 200 South Fifth Avenue building. And this will be in the amount of $647,979.18. For the board, the invoice was placed on the dais. Staff is working diligently to get the correct invoices to you. John, could you kind of give us a quick update on what we have to do with the 200 people? I know a significant amount of work has been done, along with the gym floor, along with the first floor painting, walls, along with the second floor. Could you just give an update?
Mayor, Board Trustees. The invoices in front of you, I think, are maybe the corrected ones that were sent over. The building itself has, flooring is 90% complete. There is the carpeting that's left to be done over there. The cabinetry has been placed off in the kitchen areas downstairs and upstairs. The rubber flooring inside the weight room has been completed. There was a work crew over there today finishing up the remainder of the gym floor. That is more than 95% completed at this time. All of the drywalling and painting has been completed. We still have to get the elevator back up and going, but that's somewhat separate. Urinals have not been placed in. That is something else that is separate invoice, which is before the board for consideration to approve. And I think we have
the front dais has been placed back, but we're waiting on its countertop to be put back up. So that is the remainder of work just required at this time. Any questions that the board may have, I'm open to answer.
Mayor? So the timeline for reopening and re-engaging the activities would be?
That's kind of based on the board approving payment to the vendor. The remainder of work beyond the gymnasium floor won't be completed until he receives some money.
Yeah, let's just say hypothetically you receive the money, when
He's trying to finish it off once he has the available finances to finish off in 2 weeks. Now, that does not mean that the building itself will be open. There is a side issue which is occurring at the building which we have to address, and that is that water is coming in, has damaged some of the brand new drywall, has molded it out, and that is based on the historical structure of the building, is holding pockets inside of the brick. An architectural study is being done on the structure. Once that's complete, then we can get a roofing company that will be willing to come out and do the work, but there is no roofing company that will touch that work until the structure itself has been made sound. So the original work being done by USA Restoration will be completed. We'll complete that as soon as we can. And he will even do the drywall, redo that drywall that has been damaged with no additional cost to the village. But if we do not address the structural problem that is occurring, then the building itself will still have some issues.
Secondly, then I'd ask David, from a community development standpoint, are you in agreement that it looks like it's back close to being able to be completed?
Yeah, they've done a fairly good job in there. Yeah, I walked through it myself.
Madam President?
Yes. What was that loan again, Mr. Manager?
Oh, the packet is on the diet. It's $647,979.18. I want to make the point also public where this is insurance.
That was
insurance.
my question. This amount is absorbed by our insurance.
Yes. Yes. And with that, we have two deductibles in here of $10,000. And except the side partners one, which is the two deductibles coming out of village funds.
Yes.
The $20, the two deductibles, but the remainder is for insurance. And the two deductibles are $20,000. So that's for each claim.
For each claim?
Yes.
Trustee Cross. Mr. West, you said something about the roof company. I didn't hear you because you turned and you don't speak loud enough so I can hear you. I'm sorry.
I apologize. I'm from the country, so I don't talk too loud. But the roofing, there is a problem in the structure of the building. I contacted two roofing companies to try and deal with the problem, both of which indicated they would not make any work. They would not do any work over there until the structural problem was resolved. So we have an architectural group that's examining it right now. SMT Architects is looking at the problem.
And my second question is all of the work that's listed here is under this USA? And it's all completed?
I think you have with the inside of the documents that you have, there's a percentage indicated saying what portion of it still needs to be done.
Well, just for the record, this was left for us this evening, so I didn't have time to review it, and so I'm asking you the question since you're here and I don't have time to read it now. Okay.
There's still some work. In terms of the overall whole, there's approximately about 10% of the work left to be done.
Okay. So why is there a request to pay the full amount of the $647?
I think the request is reflective of the finance being given the permission to be able to pay the bill as we check off that the work is completely complete.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor, make a motion to consider approved payment to U.S. Water and Fire Restoration for repairs to the 200 South Avenue building
Second.
in the amount of $647,979.18.
Second.
And moved in second, consider the approved payment to U.S. Water and Fire Restoration for repairs to the 200 for the amount of $647,979.18. Are there any questions? Call the roll.
Trustee DeCross?
No.
Trustee Jaycox?
Aye.
Trustee Doris?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Aye.
Trustee Rivers?
Aye.
Mayor Perkins?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, John. Next item, item number 11, is public comments. Public comments, clerk?
Could you please come to the mic, please? Give your name. You do not have to give your address. You have 3 minutes and face the board, please.
Is it here?
Yes.
I will call your name.
Yes.
Gloria Clay.
Good evening, Board. Gloria Clay, 1836 South 6th Avenue. I just have 3 items I'd like to cover. First of all, I'm happy to know that the alleys are getting underway. We all know that the late Mr. Leon Connors fought very hard for those alleys to be done. And I'm hoping and praying that the spot that he's argued so much and fought so hard for will be among the first that's being done. So right now he's got alleys, he's got his pavement is already done. But I just like to you to be aware that this is something he fought for a long time. And I'd like to see that area covered once before they have his funeral, so we can let them know that this has been done. He is smiling down. Now I know he's very happy it's being done. The other thing, I asked this question, well, I think I'm going to ask this to the chief of police since he was with the lighting. The poles that are currently up now, do they have electrical outlets on them? So we can be sure to have Christmas decorations up this year? Or are we going to be looking kind of ragged like we were the last couple of years?
We can't answer that, I have to answer it.
Well, whoever,
The poles haven't been wired yet, the wiring is underway.
but will they be wired by Christmas?
It's our intention to have them ready, we've already told the decoration group that we intend to have lit decoration.
Thank you very much. The next thing, I asked this question at the last meeting, and I did not receive an answer. I did receive an answer, but it wasn't an answer to the question. And my question is, why do we currently have a human resource person and we're also using a Dempsey staffing agency? Are they not one and the same? And I know the question, when I asked this question before, I was told that Mr. Barlow approved this, but Mr. Barlow now is no longer here. And of course, he probably would have approved anything at that point because he was on his way out. But my question is, why do we need a staffing agency and a human resource person? Nothing against either one of them, but they're both doing the same thing. Why do we need 2 people doing the same job? I'd like to have that one. And then the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll be coming before you again. Many of you all know that my husband did Little League coaching and chartering for about 25 years here in Maywood. And we've been asked to reestablish that charter for a Little League baseball team here in Maywood. So you will be hearing more about it, and I will be coming to you for your support and for your help as far as getting these kids somewhere to go and play ball and get off the street. So, and we are working, my husband and I both are working with the young people that's trying to put this together. So That's it for me. If someone can answer those questions, I'd appreciate it.
Willie Mae Kyle? I'm sorry, Willie Kyle.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is William Cotley. I'm from 130 South 14th Avenue. And I want to thank the board for giving me a chance to address you. I have some concerns that I would like to take up with you for just a minute or two. I'm still trying to get some help on some dead trees at 134 South 14th. 3 of them there. Now, those dead trees, they're pretty big trees, and the only thing they can do is fall. And they usually pick out the worst day of the year to fall. And when they fall on the electric lines, they fall on people's roofs, people's fences, and other things like that. And now is the time to really get rid of those. I've been trying to get rid of these for over a year now, and I haven't had any success with that. There's another one. I tried to tell that 1504 South 5th Avenue. That's about 5th Avenue in Quincy there. There's a tree there. It's on the curb lane there. And it has a big X on it. I don't know if they were going to cut it down or anything like that, but it's going to come down. And it definitely needs some attention. 1504 South 5th Avenue. I went to the Village Hall the other day over 40 Madison Street. And there's a couple of things over there I noticed. First thing I noticed is that the waste baskets that have been there for years have disappeared. There was one on the left side, there was one on the right side. And if you had gone to McDonald's or something and you were getting out of your car, there was a place for you to put your, discard your trash. I asked the young lady at the desk, what happened to those waste baskets? And of course, she didn't know, but she said she'd check into it. So I haven't heard anything about it, and I went by there the other day, and there's nothing there. My dad always told me, he said, if you take care of the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. And that's what I'm hoping that we will do, is take care of things. I didn't get a water bill this month. They didn't bring a water bill. And I was wondering about that because a lot of people, if they don't get the bill, they don't make no effort to pay. And that's right. And if they don't make an effort to pay, then somebody else has to take up the slack. So there's really no reason that we shouldn't be receiving our bills. And I had to go and have a duplicate bill made up. Well, you have to go upstairs and check with the clerk to get a duplicate bill. And I noticed that there was only one clerk on duty. And all the rest of the desks were empty. And it wasn't at lunchtime. It was about between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon there. And I said, boy, where is everyone? I didn't see anyone. By the same token, if you try to call that city hall down there, they will tell you that everyone is busy, that you can't talk to anyone. You have to leave a message and we'll get back to you. But getting back never comes. So that is a problem. I heard Chief Talley talk about his offices there, and I'm just hoping that we will find him some finances and resources, like Mr. Rivers said, to get those cameras working. Because if those cameras are good cameras and infrared cameras, they can solve a lot of problems. We have a terrific problem with people dumping tires and trash, and also people going the wrong way on one-way streets. I'm just wondering how long it's going to be before something terrible happens. I just saw the other day that something terrible happened with somebody going the wrong way on a one-way street.
5 minutes.
Uh,
I'm sorry, but the time is up. It's only 3 minutes and you went 2 minutes over, but thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
you may.
Lucille Redmond? Lucille Redmond. In light of the information that we received in regards to the candidates for village manager, I hope that you scrap all of them. In light of the recent information that we received, one of them was supposed to evacuate the premises or the area because of Hurricane Rita. He not only evacuated, he ran completely off. We don't need him. Yes, there are many candidates, but they have that have a boatload of experience. However, they have a boatload of excess baggage that is going to prove unfavorable to this community. I see that many of you just bringing the tablets with you, but you still have paper. According to the reason given for purchasing the tablets was to cut down on paper. Where are the tablets, and why do you have papers? Back in August, I contacted OSHA, and according to OSHA, the village of Maywood is in violation with the conditions, the hazardous and unhelpful conditions in the police department. Now, I did not file a complaint just yet, but something needs to be done real quick, because this village is in violation of hazardous, it's unhealthy for the policemen to work there on Christmas, okay? And it's dangerous to be in that type of environment. We need to correct that problem soon. What about the water leaks in this village? Are we paying for all these water leaks? I mean, somebody's paying, so it must be us. And I think I just got a headache when I heard that we're working on an unstructurally sound, a building that is unsound. Why? Is that hazardous also to someone's health? And why are we fixing up a building that's already leaking? The work that's already done is going to be damaged. Why? I don't understand these things. I don't understand the rationale behind a lot of decisions that are being made here. My only consolation is April 7th, 2015. Sometimes I see 2 attorneys here. Mr. Mars is sitting in the back and Mr. Jerusik is sitting there. I want to know also, are we paying for both of them to be here at the same time? No? Nope. Okay. I guess my next thing is to just put in a FOIA for itemized bills from you guys. Thank you.
Stephanie Brenner? Sophie. I'm sorry, Sophie.
Thank you. I'm Sophie Braddock, and I'm a returning resident. This is my hometown of Maywood. And I just have a comment on 3 topics. First, to Trustee Cross, was it? I like the comments that you made about the village manager, and I'm wondering if we'll have an opportunity before the hiring as a public to meet the candidate and ask questions. and if there will be some kind of open forum for the residents.
Too late.
It's too late, that, I missed that?
I'm
Okay, I'm just, that's why I said I'm returning, and so this is my first meeting. Also, I saw in the omnibus agenda, it says that we paid $277,536.80 to the village of, to the city of Chicago for water, and then also for pumping from Melrose Park. Are we getting water from both places? Okay. And then the last question I had, first of all, I want to commend Chief Talley. I heard wonderful things about you from my neighbors. But I do have a question about, we have an ordinance about saggy pants. Can you tell me when that started? And the reason I brought that up is because it was in the same category as more severe things like guns and weapons. And what I noticed is when I saw the posters, it struck me as being biased in two ways. First of all, it is just black men that are on there, and the level of sagginess. As a teacher, I know that there are students and residents of other nationalities who are skateboarders and all other different professions, and so then we have the discretion of what level of sagginess are we going to hold our residents accountable for, and if we are wanting them to cover up that area of their backside, then we also have a gender problem, because I do witness young ladies with their actual skin and their buttocks exposed with the new fashion hanging out the backside. And so I think that's rather biased, and because the police chief brought it up in these same categories, I think that it is a veil for our police department to unnecessarily stop citizens who have a right to walk down the street. We may not like the way they look, okay, but it is a fashion in a certain socioeconomic level. I don't necessarily like the way it looks either, but I think that that is kind of not the place for us to police. And those were just my concerns.
Thank you.
Okay?
That concludes public comment. Mr. Myers.
Yes, ma'am. May I respond to the public comments? First of all, Ms. Clay was asking a question about why do we have an HR person at 40 Madison? However, we have a staffing member that comes over to the mayor's office. And Ms. Clay indicated they perform the same duties. First of all, HR is over HR department, but as far as who's coming in from my understanding over the mayor's office, filling in for the executive assistant. So it actually is two roles. The actual HR person wouldn't actually come in and fulfill that duty. That's up to HR, or however it works out, to have someone fulfill that duty when that person is out, or we use a staff person. I'll let the mayor elaborate further if she wishes to do that. In regards to Mr. Kylie, thank you. He already left. He made us aware of some dead trees. We have a constant running list. He indicated it's been over a year. I was not aware of that. So we'll definitely look into that. As far as the waste basket, we can get the garbage cans back regarding that item. But he already addressed his issue regarding the water bill. Ms. Redmond, you did a great point. I want to focus on a couple of things. First of all, condition of the police department. The chief did identify in the report some items. Mr. West did a good job of elaborating on what we're doing about the problem. We last year put money, we as a board, put money in the budget for this year to address the problem. That was one of the issues that I had when I first started here. Well, why is our police department flooded? We have the pumps was inoperable. We have a temporary pump in there now. We're going to be riding out the area, going north to get the sewer cleaned out. However, from a health hazard standpoint, we did bring in Service Pro, right? Service Pro to germanize the area, to clean everything up, so our officers will not be in an environment they should not be in. So we are addressing that situation. I cannot speak in the past of why it was not done, or why it predates me, but I'm more focused on let's get it done. In regards to the roof, yes, we have had some roof leaks. Ms. Clay has came to this point numerous times, and hey, we have leaks. We have brought someone in temporary, correct me wrong, company come in to seal up some of the areas that is over the police area, over the the 911 area, and also any other areas along with the border police fire areas. So we have brought someone in to temporarily work on that. However, we already have an architect in place, as the police chief indicated earlier, in place to take a survey of this area, to get some estimates, to bring it back to the board. The board has already given an authorization to select an architect to get the project underway. Money is budgeted for that. Second item, 200 building. You indicated that there was some roof issues. We had the roof replaced, yes, the 200 building repaired. However, the issue that Mr. West alluded to is the facade, the metal area that's out on this area. It's not the actual roof, but it's the metal. It's attached to it, and water's getting back there. Once we found out about it, we jumped on it. Mr. West made me aware of it. Got an architect looking at it. We'll bring it to the board to select an architect. But as of right now, we are already working moving forward. So something that will be on the next LLC. In other words, there is a leak, and we have someone, the architect, looking at how to repair it, because we brought a contractor in. However, the contractor said, we need an architect or structure engineer to take a look at this. So it is being addressed, just so you're aware. That's all I have, Ms. Redmond. Ms. Bradnow, you had some items. Yes, I think some of your questions were answered about City of Chicago, where yes, we received water from them. And you also had some questions regarding when the SAC pen started, Chief. Do you know when that started? That predates you? Are you aware? That was an ordinance?
It predates me, but the point that I want to make, it happened about 2008, you know, when, is that about right? Yeah. It happened about 2008 from what I can recall, without actually looking at the ordinance itself and reflecting on it. Sorry about that. That's a whole bunch of ordinances. But the thing is that, is it culturally biased? It probably is, you know, but nevertheless, I didn't promulgate it. I'm a policing body, so I enforce rules and regulations. There was an outcry from the public that we do more enhanced enforcement, and that's what we're doing. That's why it was highlighted. You know, the social issues that relate to it, those have to come from you in this body, in this public forum. If it's something that you don't like, you don't want us to enforce, you have to address it with the leaders here, and then they'll review it and they'll make that decision. They take it off the books. Mr. Mars or Mr. Jeruzik will draft that ordinance or correction, then I can stop enforcing it. But until that time, the point was that the public wanted it, and I'm addressing the public needs. That's part of the community policing philosophy, and that's what I do.
Thank you, and I totally understand that. That's why I wanted to ask you. Thank you so much.
Mayor, that's all I have in response to the public comments, and then the board members, if you have any responses.
Anyone have any comments, questions? What about the water leak?
The water leak.
The water leak. What about the water leak?
Water leaks regarding?
Our water leak that we have. We do have water leaks, and now we're trying to address it.
Oh, the water piping?
The leak. The leak that we have.
John, could you elaborate on that one?
Yeah. The village has a progressive strategy on that. We hired a water leak detection service to go around the village itself in its entirety to try and determine if we had any additional leaks out in the system. As we receive those reports back, we go out and investigate them. In many cases, we have to react to certain requirements that we have to investigate to see if it's something which leaks at a mild portion of the ground. When they come above ground, then we aggressively attack them and try and close them off and move on to try to look back at the reports that are being provided by ATS in terms of buried and undiscovered. So the village has a progressive plan and has been enacted for 7 years.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just to answer that, Mrs. Clay, I said before and I repeat it again, Mr. Barlow gave permission for Genesee staffing to come in and give that service. And first of all, I must say, we do not have a human resource department. We do not.
and we have people that work there, but we do not have a certified human resource department. Thank you. That's it.
I'm sorry, I missed on the announcement. The Maywood Finance is having their, on Saturday. I don't know
Starting about 10.
Okay, anywhere from 10 on, they march down Fifth, down Chicago Avenue, ninth back. But anyway, their parade is on Saturday. And also, Dr. Polis, who has a new dental office, down by Pumpkin's Place, 100 block, is it? 1400 block on Fifth Avenue. He's having a grand opening, and he's having a community event right at the vacant lot of Fifth and Quincy, where the old rug company used to be. And he's trying to engage, this is coming Saturday, it's from 11 to 2 o'clock. So it's a grand opening of his dental office. So people can get out to visit, welcome the new businesses to the area. And also I had the opportunity to meet Miss Dana Wood, who is the proprietor of Subway on Fifth Avenue in the little strip mall. She said there hadn't been a lot of people or village officials by there, but I indicated to her, we don't get a list of who comes into town every month, which we'd like to get, so we can go by and welcome them. So if you get a chance, stop into Subway, let them know that you're from Maywood when you support their businesses here in the community. The address is 614, I think it is. 614 South Fifth. Subway, right next to Church's Chicken. Right.
Mayor, if I may respond to the statement you just made about HR, just for the public aware, HR is within the village manager's office. No, it's not an HR department. And the person we have is the HR coordinator.
Right.
We send her various training for our employees to make sure that we get what we need with our staff, whether it's evaluation, whether it's insurance. And the board may be aware that, the public be aware it's within the village manager's office. Right? With that being said, we can move to exec session. For the discussion of, Harvey, go ahead.
If the board is not already aware, former Public Works employee John Gray passed away over the weekend. We'll provide the information as soon as we get around to the service.
Thank you, John. With that being said, we're going to move into exec session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of village employee, village manager, candidate. This will be a short, brief update.
Move to recess to executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of village employee, manager, candidate.
It's been moved in second, we move to executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, and performance of the village employees,